It's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
All across the USA, we are Red Eye Radio. I'm Gary McNamara. He's Eric Harley. Good morning.
Hello.
2 weeks from today. That's all we'll say. 2 weeks after an election season that seemed like it's, 2 years, which it has been.
To all those podcasts who have bottles of booze laying around, that would be the day. Well, actually, November 6th. If you do what we... All right, we're going to have a drink. No, it's it'll be interesting. I'm very, very curious about the voter turnout for the Democrats. That's going to be a huge tell, obviously, but early voter turnout, and often that it doesn't necessarily tell you where it's going to go, but it tells you how eager people are to vote. And if it leans one side, I'm pretty eager to vote, but I just want to get it out of the way so we can focus on this and I don't have something come up on election day that gets in the way and delays me.
Before we get back to more on the election, oh, jeez, I have to read this from Associated Press and the report that came out yesterday from Congress.
Okay.
And just shake your head. I mean, all of this everybody knows, but we have to read it anyway. The assassination attempt against former President Donald Trump at a Pennsylvania rally in July was preventable and should not have happened, according to a bipartisan House panel that is investigating the shooting and what it calls the stunning security failures at the event. When you have a government that screws up the Secret Service as much, this is my report, as much as this one does, it shows you how incompetent that administration is.
Yep.
That shows you how incredibly incompetent it is.
Yep.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, and it also shows you what the culture is within this administration. The culture starts at the top. What is expected is that tone is set by the president. And it's unbelievable. Of all the agencies that we would have a concern like this with the Secret Service, unbelievable to me.
Members of both the House and Senate have repeatedly questioned why the Secret Service didn't do a better job communicating with local authorities during the campaign rally, particularly when it came to securing the building that was widely agreed to be a security threat, but that was ultimately left so unprotected that the gunman was able to climb up and shoot. Lawmakers in the report focus on the fragmented lines of communication and unclear chains of command between Secret Service and the Pennsylvania state and local police, but place the majority of the blame on the Secret Service for the security breakdown. Are you kidding me?
Wow.
The unclear chains of command?
Yeah. Who's in? Who's in
charge? What the hell?
Who's second in charge? How it works? How in the world does that happen?
Federal, state, and local law enforcement officers could have engaged the shooter at several pivotal moments, a report stated. Lawmakers added throughout the afternoon as Crook's behavior became increasingly suspicious. Fragmented lines of communication allowed Crooks to evade law enforcement and climb onto the unsecured roof where he would eventually open fire. Simply put, the evidence obtained by the task force to date shows the tragic and shocking events of July 13th were preventable and should not have happened. Well, we knew that already when we saw the shooter's position.
Right. We saw the raw video come from the people attending the event after the fact that were pointing him out on that roof. It's maddening to think about.
The report breaks little new ground, as we have stated.
Yeah.
As the failed Secret Service response has already been documented by an independent commission, an interim Senate report, as well as congressional testimony and news media investigations. The House report, like others before it, does not identify specific individuals who may be to blame, but the Associated Press has previously reported that at least 5 Secret Service agents have been placed on modified duty. The director of the Secret Service at the time, Kimberly Cheadle, resigned shortly after the shooting. Boy, she had to be dragged out.
Yeah, she really did.
She did. Saying she took full responsibility for the lapse. Well, yeah, she said she takes full responsibility. And that's where we actually started asking the question, what does that mean?
Right.
We take full responsibility. And?
No, you always hear that. The buck stops with me.
Or you're still employed. Apparently it doesn't. The task force, comprised of 7 Republicans and 6 Democrats, showcased some of the report's findings. During a public hearing last month, lawmakers say they plan to issue a final report, including recommendations to avoid assassination attempts against political candidates by mid-December. The task force has begun investigating the second assassination attempt on Trump last month when a man with a rifle camped outside one of his golf courses in southern Florida. Oh, God. I mean,
Yeah.
What do you mean the lines of communication? You're talking about the incompetence here. This isn't like the Secret Service wasn't doing it right. It's not like they don't know what the chain of command is supposed to be.
Right.
It's not like we just elected a president of the United States.
The process has been in place for ages.
Right. That's like you
known, and you go over it before every event, right? Please tell me that happened.
That's like you and I coming on the air, and it's like, well, we're not on the air.
What are we doing? Are we talking?
We didn't know the chain of command for turning on the microphones.
Yeah. Are we supposed to talk?
Who's
now?
the chain of command? Ron, is it your job to do it?
Yeah.
Who turns on the microphone?
What am I supposed to say?
I'm supposed to turn on my own microphone?
Who has my script?
Yeah.
I mean, think about this. Because tell me there was a meeting ahead of the event with a diagram, a map that showed where the main stage was going to be, where the crowd was going to be allowed access, entrances, exits, all of that, right ahead of time, not even the day of, maybe days ahead of time, and you go over it with everybody who's on that assignment. Please tell me that happened.
Yeah.
Because it seems like people just showed up and said, hey, what's going on here? We're the Secret Service.
Right.
Is there some kind of event going on?
A couple of days beforehand, you're right. You call the local law enforcement. This is what's going on. We're having a meeting at this particular time where we need representatives or the people that are going to be there, the actual teams that you're going to be presenting, and then you have this meeting. It doesn't have to be a long meeting, but you have the head Secret Service honcho.
Yeah.
Or Hanshi. That gets up there and says, all right, thank you, everybody, for being here. I hope you've enjoyed the coffee and donuts. Here's the layout. All right?
Here's the timing.
Right.
Here's
the timing.
Here's the timeline.
Here's the timeline, exactly.
Here's when he's going to arrive. His team's going to arrive, and his details is going to be with him. We'll work closely with them.
But in this area, here's the layout of the place. We need these buildings covered here. Pennsylvania State Police here, local police over here. We're going to be over here. All these areas must be covered because they're in direct line of fire of where the former president is going to be speaking. And so all these have to be covered here. We've got it now. Then the morning of the event, everybody meets again. You go over it one more time. Very quickly. Here's what's going to be.
You clear the site to make sure nobody's there.
You clear and I've seen that actually happen. Secret Service clear an entire stadium. Mm-hmm. They clear the entire place and they go through everything. Mm-hmm. And then you say, okay, at that point, where are our snipers over here? Who's got that building? That roof top over there covered. Anywhere that's exposed, you make sure you have somebody or a sniper.
Right.
Any places. This isn't. I have never spent, and you have never spent 1 second either in RICO class. That was from a part of the show earlier.
Yeah, I didn't
a
take
RICO class or Secret Service class. And you want that expertise because you want to know, but still we can figure out 95% of what has to be done.
There wasn't even a show like Law and Order where you could learn that stuff.
A RICO class.
I just, after it happened and all the chatter started coming out about the failures of the Secret Service, I thought to myself, if it has come to this in the age of lawfare, in the age of weaponizing the Department of Justice, if the culture has gotten to this point that nobody is concerned about guarding a former president who is also the nominee for his party, and I don't care whose party it is, I don't care which one it is. If we don't take the measures to guard these individuals, if we don't have the concern for that puts in place a process that is flawless and executed as such each and every time, then I don't know what to say. That scares the daylights out of me, because when you grow up knowing the job of the Secret Service, and we all did, you understand how it works. And if you've had any experience on site, either at a rally, you and I in the media, you and I have both been cleared multiple times or had to be cleared by the Secret Service to be on site and have access to people running for office. All these things, when you have just the basic knowledge of why that agency is in place, why those agents are where they are, I hope we all understand the importance of protecting these individuals, and again, regardless of party. But if it's gotten to the point, and I'm just saying if, that in the age of lawfare and weaponizing the Department of Justice, that kind of mentality has people lacking, not caring, no care for oversight, because it does stop at the responsibility is with leadership, but leadership has to set that tone. You will not fail in this assignment. If we've thrown that out and we're treating it like any other job, then God help us if we're not willing to protect those running for office, for president of the United States or the president. Because if we've got a problem at Secret Service, we've got a problem with the current president, any president who's in office, because there is a massive, massive hole. We can't have that. That is absolutely unacceptable.
866-90-RED-EYE.
This morning's USDA Farm Report is brought to you by Howes Products. Tested, trusted, guaranteed since 1920.
Mixed adjustments to USDA's dairy balance sheet for both this year and next. What does that mean regarding October's price forecast, though?
We've seen a little bit of a correction in the cheese and butter prices observed. Those product prices have been extremely strong for the past several months. And then in the past few weeks, we've just seen some of those prices start to retreat back toward what might be considered closer to historic norms.
World Agricultural Outlook Board Chair Mark Jekanowski says cheese and butter price forecasts were reduced for both 2024 and 25. 2025.
But other products, especially the dry products, continuing to see some price strength.
Class 3 and 4 milk prices were also lowered for this year and next based on the reduced cheese and butter prices.
All milk price for 2024 was lowered this month by 25 cents per hundredweight to $22.80 per hundredweight. And for 2025, it was reduced by 70 cents per hundredweight to $22.75 per hundredweight.
I'm Rod Bain reporting for the U.S. Department of Agriculture in Washington, D.C.
This report brought to you by Cenex Fuels and Lubes.
Lines open for your calls. 866-90-RED-EYE on Red Eye Radio.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. And you and I had said it about at the time of the first assassination attempt, and everybody knew it immediately when they saw where the shooter shot from. And it was like, it seems like, and we go back to just 6 months really into the Biden administration when Peggy Noonan of the Wall Street Journal, remember, wrote a column that said it seems like everything's broken.
Mm-hmm.
Under Biden, immediately, like everything is broken and everything is being broke, by the administration. Not that everything is broken and they can't fix it. It's that they broke it.
Yeah.
And that's one of the interesting things here that I still don't think the Republicans, they've used it, but they haven't used it enough, which is, look, they can't fix it because they broke it.
Right.
They did it. This was calculated, the things that they did. But when you see, that's my first impression was, you look, everything seems to be broken, and then you realize they can't even protect a former president who's running for president, a major, in a major party, one of the two major parties, and they can't protect him. That the incompetence is so incredibly great that you have to question whether it's incompetence or calculated, because it's things like this. It's massive, absolutely massive failures like this that make people wonder, how could you fail at something that's so simple? How could you leave that open?
Yeah.
How could you leave that rooftop open? Was this done on purpose?
Right.
That's what leads complete and total incompetence, leads people to think maybe it's not just incompetence, maybe it's calculated.
Well, that's where we said, and it was early on in this discussion that we said you can't discount now any of the conspiracy theories that are floating out there because it's so bad. The failure is so huge.
Because you say, the first thought in your mind is, the Secret Service has never screwed up like this.
Right.
To leave a rooftop like that?
Right.
How?
It's like they weren't even there.
Yeah.
It's like they just arrived as the shots were fired. That's really what it seems like. That they had no presence at all until the moment the shots were fired. That, to me, is mind-boggling. And the problem, I guess the concern ultimately that I have here is that this goes on and then all of a sudden it's just kind of tucked away and, people forget about it. No, all of the questions need to be answered. It needs to be a very transparent process, and we need to get to the bottom of it, and it needs to be fixed.
You're listening to Red Eye Radio from the Uniden America Studios.
And he's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Hey, download our Red Eye Radio app today, now, right now.
Do it right now.
Yeah, right after the show is over, our podcast starts on our app.
That's right.
And so...
and we don't rehearse it.
No. There's no rehearsal. All right, let's play something from last week.
All right.
Because, we were on vacation,
Mm-hmm.
and I forgot about it yesterday, and I just happened to come. It was something that I banked, and I went, I got to make sure we play it, because it's something that we have said before about Elon Musk, and this is about all the craziness, the left going nuts on Elon Musk.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And Jonathan Turley was on Fox last week, and when that was asked about what he thinks about all the insanity from the left and the rhetoric about Elon Musk, here's his response.
Well, it's like another scene out of, the Lord of the Flies. You have all these pundits and politicians chasing him around the island. And you have people go into absolute vapors every time he talks about censorship or talks about Donald Trump. Really, this turned on Musk when he bought Twitter and took down the censorship system. But most importantly, when he released the Twitter files, because many of us were testifying in Congress, and Democratic members would say, you've no proof that there's any coordination between the government and these companies. And then Elon Musk supplied the proof with thousands of emails coming from government officials and offices, over 80 FBI agents targeting individuals and groups for censorship. They never forgave him for that. And you have this bizarre situation where, you have CEOs that openly support Harris, openly support extremely far-left policies. There's not a peep about them. But there is this Musk mania, which has just overwhelmed the media recently.
Yeah, and I think you and I together could come up with dozens of examples of that. There's, of course, the extreme lunacy of someone like, former ESPN host Keith Olbermann, who said that Musk should be arrested and deported. But what I'm curious about is less the lunacy of someone like that on the left, and whether or not you think Musk is risking real retribution in some way from the censors and the government officials that he is targeting and highlighting.
Well, look, they've already done everything they could short of throwing him into a wood chipper. I mean, they've targeted his revenue, they've targeted his companies, they've targeted his advertisers. In my book, The Indispensable Right, I talk about Musk, and love him or hate him, he is without question the most consequential figure in free speech of our generation. I think that he has done more for free speech than any living person today. In some ways, he actually stopped the progress of the anti-free speech movement by releasing the Twitter files. But he's really that immovable object that this irresistible force encountered, and they won't forgive him for it. All their CEOs caved. People like Zuckerberg and others, they caved like a house of cards. But they finally found someone that couldn't be coerced, couldn't be threatened, couldn't be scared, and they will not forgive him for that.
Yeah.
There you go. And when he said the most consequential figure, in free speech in the United States in a long, long time, maybe ever, when you think about what the Biden administration was attempting to do and what liberals were trying to do inside of the government when it came to censorship and control. And you and I had said that a couple of months ago. Yeah. I remember saying almost the exact same words that Turley said. We said a lot of people don't realize what Elon Musk actually did. He was the one that presented the evidence that showed that liberals, those who favored Democrats inside inside the government, were attempting to destroy free speech in this country and censor. And the entire disinformation, misinformation movement is an attempt by Democrats to not allow the truth to be known. They're scared of the truth. This isn't about misinformation or disinformation. It's about the truth. The Democrats don't want you to know the truth.
And when Obama was elected, they thought they had won the White House forever. And with the advent of social media, they really thought they had won the control of language forever, that the conversation was under their control. And I think to a large extent, it wasn't completely under their control, but we go back to the Twitter years before the Twitter files. And we see what was going on. And the FBI was going to camp out and make sure that they could use that because they had the friendly social media management helping them get it done. That's some of the most dangerous items in our country's history. Because if they would have gotten away with it, then imagine everything else. We know the censorship that happens. But then to find that basically the FBI had set up a second headquarters there at Twitter. You know? They were hiring how many ex-FBI employees were working at Twitter? And my question was, okay, well, were they actually former employees of the FBI, or were they there on a mission? And that to me is the most dangerous part of all of it, is that they got away with it, and that mindset. We said, look, conspiracy's one thing, but when you share a mindset, everybody's in the game together. And that's exactly what we saw going on that was uncovered by Elon Musk. And you may think he overpaid for Twitter. I don't think you can put a price on what he exposed. And
No.
It's unbelievable, and it's to the benefit of all Americans, whether you like the guy, whether you agree with him, whether you vote for Trump or Kamala. It doesn't matter, because we can't have that by any administration, by any party. It came from the left, but it's dangerous, extremely dangerous, because if it was allowed, then eventually everybody's going to get around to it. And next thing you know, nobody has control over what they can say.
And that's why I'm voting for Trump in this election. It's the weaponization of government. Everything else is secondary to me.
Yep.
Everything.
Yep.
It's about that. It's about what we saw there. It's about what you saw. The New York Post being censored from social media, which, by the way, the left was trying to debate this week that it didn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh my God.
Mm-hmm.
But think about this. The Democrats are furious that they couldn't censor the truth.
Right. Yeah.
The Democrats are livid. They couldn't censor the truth from the American public.
Right.
And this is something the mainstream media doesn't want to touch. It's something that's out there, though. And people, by, again, being able to get news now, the losing of the influence that they once had, the mainstream liberal media, the ABC, the CBSs, the CNNs, the MSNBCs, the Washington Post, the New York Times, they don't have the influence, so the truth gets out there. We're fighting that. We're fighting that type of censorship. We're fighting not to become a banana republic,
Right.
where the administration goes after the political opposition. And with the news out yesterday from Nathan Wade, Fonnie Willis's former
boyfriend,
prosecutor boyfriend, a no or not of RICO laws, where he said, they met numerous times before the prosecution. He met with Biden administration officials about the prosecution of Trump. That story came out yesterday. Should have been huge news. The media wishes to bury it. They want it to go on. They want this kind of stuff to go on. They don't want you to know that that's what they favor.
Right.
That I want to stop. I want to stop what happened, the rot inside the government that we saw with the FBI and the intelligence agencies and going after Trump, making up that Trump was a traitor, that he was colluding with the Russians when we know. Think about this. Hillary Clinton has never been asked on an interview that she has done on the mainstream media, why did you set up Donald Trump?
Right.
Why did you take campaign money and fund and create the dossier that was completely false in order to destroy the other campaign and then the Democratic Party and probably the next new senator from California, Adam Schiff, who lied to the American public? He is being rewarded for lying to the American public about Trump if he gets elected.
Yep.
He's being rewarded because lying to the people about what the intelligence actually said, to be in a position as he was as head of the House Intelligence Committee, he lied to the American public and told the American public that the intelligence shows that Donald Trump colluded with the Russians to hack or change the outcome of the 2016 election, and it was completely false. Never happened. He lied to the American public over and over again, and Democrats go, that kind of thing needs to be rewarded. And so you go be the next senator, senator from California.
Right.
That's the filth and rot that is why I'm voting for Trump. Economic issues, everything is secondary to that.
Right. Because nothing else gets fixed before that gets fixed. Nothing else will get done if we don't remedy that situation first. It has to change.
And then we can go to the cultural issues, which are not cultural anymore. When you go to the radical transgender movement and the FBI monitoring parents, taking license plate numbers of parents that are upset because a girl has been sexually assaulted in a school by a transgender woman, a male, a biological male, and they're concerned about it. And they're furious that it was allowed to happen, and they want answers. And the Department of Justice sends the FBI in, and we know this because those whistleblowers testified before Congress, and they said, we can't be doing this. This is insane. That's what I want to stop. Anything else, any economic issue, we'll deal with it when Trump becomes president, and there'll be a great debate about how economically, what economic things we should do and what we shouldn't do. And in the end, the Congress will have the say on it for the most part. If Trump decides to do something, economically speaking, through executive order that doesn't work, the Republicans will pay for it in the next election. Yep. We'll deal with that at that time. If he does stuff that works, then Republicans will hopefully, Vance or whoever will be the next president in 2028. But that's all down the road. Right now, it is about, and we can talk specifically about what the Democrats have already done, not, Trump said this and we're going to interpret it to say that he wants to be Hitler. We already know what the Democrats have done. We already know the authoritarian fascist thought that exists inside the Democratic Party, not because they said it, but because they actually did it.
Yep, and there's proof.
Yeah, the proof's there. Nobody's debating
We
it.
don't have to edit anything. They have to edit what Trump said to make him look like a racist when he actually didn't say it. We don't have to edit anything. The facts are there.
866-90 Red Eye.
Get in touch with Red Eye Radio, toll free at 866-90 Red Eye.
It's Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Just, I always do this near the end of the show, not every night, but probably once a week, and was looking at the headlines from the Babylon Bee. Are you ready?
All right.
All right, here we go. Report, even Dominion machines refusing to vote for Kamala. Watch out about a lawsuit.
Be careful.
Okay, it was parody. All right, parody is protected.
I think so.
I don't know, this was one of my favorites. It was the lead headline from the Babylon Bee yesterday. 6th woman added to the cast of The View.
Tim Walz
was on yesterday. Yes, he was. But in a vote taken between Eric and I, this was in a unanimous vote.
Yeah.
Our favorite headline from the Babylon Bee: Desperate Kamala plans photo op at Long John Silver's.
That is brilliant. Oh my gosh, I love that. That is so great. It's funny because they're just so good over there at the Babylon Bee.
They are.
But rounding up the stories, kind of the way we do, but then having a lot of fun with it. Well, kind of the way we do.
Yeah, exactly.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One.